There are news stories that merely inform, and there are those that shake things up. When Epstein's name resurfaces, and along with it Donald Trump's, the world holds its breath. It's not just about scandal, it's about power, influence, and the secrets that money tries to hide. The curious thing is that, the more time passes, the more it seems the case never ended. It just changed form. And now, the new emails reignite a fire that many thought had been extinguished. But what's really behind these revelations? Why now? And most importantly, who benefits when old stories resurface with new versions? Some see it as coincidence, others as strategy. Either way, the fact is that this leak has the potential to shake the most solid political narratives of today. And if you think you've seen it all in this case, wait until you understand what's been hidden between the lines. So before we continue, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because here, we go beyond the surface. What follows is not just another behind-the-scenes analysis. It's a journey through the gray areas of power, media, and manipulation. And perhaps in the end, you'll realize that the real mystery lies not in the revealed messages, but in those that haven't yet come to light. No one expected Jeffrey Epstein's name to resonate so strongly again. After years of silence, a new batch of confidential emails surfaced. Messages exchanged between powerful figures, full of nuances, codes, and subtle references. What seemed like a closed case suddenly reignited the fire of theories and suspicions. People began to wonder, what else was hidden? And above all, why are these messages being revealed now? There's something curious about how time works in cases like this. When the dust seems to have settled, the truth finds a way to slip through the cracks. These emails show not only the extent of Epstein's connections, but also the ease with which power moves between private parties, secret deals, and well-paid silences. It's as if the scandal never ended, only changed its clothes. And the public now has a sharper, more suspicious eye, ready to connect the dots that previously seemed invisible. But what really draws attention is not just the content of the messages, but the timing of the leak. Why now? In a tense political climate, every word released seems to carry a purpose. Some see it as coincidence, others strategy. What is certain is that these revelations did not arise by chance. There is something deeper moving behind the scenes, and perhaps, in the next section, it will become clearer why Trump's name appears in this plot that insists on not being forgotten. The mention of Trump, context, time period, and what was actually said, without sensationalism, but with analysis. When Donald Trump's name appears in any headline, the world stops for a few seconds. But when it appears in emails linked to Jeffrey Epstein, the impact is even greater. The newly revealed messages don't speak of crimes, but of social gatherings, exchanges of favors, and a web of relationships that now seems suspicious. The truth is that, at the height of the 2000s, Epstein's circle was a showcase of power, and Trump, like many others, was in the middle of it. It's necessary to understand the context before drawing hasty conclusions. Back then, being on the same contact list didn't mean complicity. It meant influence. Elites mingled, interests intersected, and secrets circulated silently behind the scenes of high society. Trump was a rising businessman, a constant presence at luxury events and discreet dinners. The problem is that when the past resurfaces, interpretation becomes a weapon, and whoever controls the narrative controls the damage. Interestingly, these emails appear to have been carefully chosen. Some say the goal isn't to reveal, but to reignite. Reignite what? Controversies, fears, and even old political alliances. Trump's name is a catalyst. It attracts attention, generates clicks, and stirs emotions. But what's behind the choice to make him the center of this chessboard again? Perhaps what follows will help to understand that, in this game, nobody is truly out of the game, and the board is much larger than it seems. The web of power, influence, and silence. Why public figures keep appearing in these revelations. The Epstein case was never just about one man. It was about an entire system driven by power, desire, and silence. Every name that emerges, whether politician, billionaire, or artist, reveals that the problem is structural, not accidental. Power creates a kind of moral immunity, where boundaries become flexible and consequences negotiable. It's an old dance, where everyone knows the steps but pretends not to know the music. What's most intriguing is the invisible pact that binds these figures. They are ties of convenience, favors, and shared secrets, the kind of bond that isn't easily broken. Many of the emails show exactly that. Not just trivial conversations, but codes of trust. Silence, in this universe, is a valuable currency. And those who talk too much lose access, prestige, and sometimes protection. This web of power functions like a fishing net. The more you try to escape, the more trapped you become. Some say Epstein was just a node in this network, an intermediary, not the architect. And that's why, even after his death, the revelations continue. Because power, when exposed, reacts. And perhaps the next topic will help us understand how the media chooses which threads of this web deserve to be shown and which should remain hidden. There's a curious detail about power. It never acts alone. It creates circles, alliances, and pacts that intertwine like threads of an almost invisible web. The Epstein case is just the tip of the iceberg of something much larger, a structure where money buys silence and silence buys freedom. It's the kind of system that doesn't need contracts, only glances and promises. And what's most frightening is realizing how many public figures seem comfortable within it. These names don't appear by chance. They are pieces in a game where power serves as both shield and prison. Each leaked email is a crack in this machine, revealing a bit of the truth, but never the whole picture. The same faces that appear on magazine covers, smiling under flashes, are often the ones who know the darkest secrets behind the scenes. And, in the end, silence becomes the only language everyone speaks fluently. But silence comes at a cost. It protects, but it also consumes. Some say this web is maintained by fear. Fear of falling, fear of losing, fear of being exposed. And the higher the power, the greater the fear of collapsing. With each new leak, we see the same dynamic. Powerful people trying to control the narrative. And that's precisely where the role of the media comes in. Deciding who will be the villain of the moment and who will remain in the shadows. Media manipulation and the game of narratives, who benefits from each leak and what is erased from the spotlight. The media, in theory, should reveal the truth. But in practice, it decides which truth will be told. With each new leak, there's a choreography of headlines, calculated expressions, and carefully chosen angles. It's not about what is revealed, but rather, as it is revealed. The same email can sound like a bombshell or like an unimportant detail. It just depends on who's holding the microphone. And in this game, those in power have learned to use information as a weapon of war. There's something almost theatrical about the way scandals are presented. One name is highlighted, another is forgotten. One phrase is amplified, another is omitted. The audience is led along as if watching a show, without realizing that the script was already written before the premiere. When Trump's name comes up, the noise is instantaneous. But behind the noise, there's always selective silence. Because while everyone is focused on the scandal, other issues discreetly disappear from the front pages. This game of narratives serves greater purposes. Sometimes the goal is to distract. Other times, it's to test the public's reaction. The fact is that the media rarely plays alone. It dances to the tune of whoever has the most power to sponsor the sound. And the viewer, believing themselves to be well informed, is often only watching an edited version of reality. In the next point, this distortion becomes even more evident. when we realize how these revelations can influence the global political landscape and invisibly shape public opinion. The political and social implications, how these revelations might affect the international landscape and public opinion. Each revelation about Epstein and the names surrounding him is like a stone thrown into a calm lake. The ripples spread quickly, and you never know how far they will reach. When Trump's name appears, the consequences transcend borders. Suddenly, allies retreat, opponents advance, and public opinion fragments. It's the kind of news that not only informs but redefines the political landscape, because in times of polarization, any detail becomes fuel. The social implications are also profound. Scandals like this force the public to question what they really know about their leaders, about the system, and even about themselves. There is a collective weariness, a mixture of distrust and curiosity. People want transparency, but they also fear what they might discover. It's the paradox of the century. Everyone says they want the truth, but few are prepared to face it unfiltered. In the international arena, the reverberations are inevitable. Diplomatic relations are strained, alliances are tested, and narratives are reshaped. Each new piece of evidence becomes ammunition for campaigns, debates, and power strategies. And amidst all this, a question lingers. What do these revelations say about human nature and how power truly works? Perhaps the answer lies beyond politics. Perhaps it resides in the shadows where ambition and silence meet. Ultimately, perhaps the biggest secret lies not in Epstein's messages, nor in the names mentioned, but in how we react to it all. Why do certain scandals shock us while others go unnoticed? Does the truth still matter, or have we become accustomed to convenient versions of it? Each new revelation seems less about justice and more about who controls the plot. And that says a lot about the world we live in. Have you ever stopped to think about how many stories are being told right now, while everyone is only looking at one? How many interests are hidden behind each headline, each leak, each strategic silence? Perhaps what is most frightening is not what has been revealed, but what remains hidden, waiting for the right moment to come to light. If this content made you think, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Here, we don't settle for the obvious. We delve deep into the hidden layers of power, media, and the human mind. And remember, not all truth comes to light at once. Sometimes it whispers first, before it shouts.